Here we go. So, all minds clear. Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Reese. I'm your auntie, the good auntie out of the three. Today, we're going to be talking about self-talk.
Mm.
Self-talk means what you tell yourself in the moments that you are needing encouragement or the moments when you're trying to reach another level or just when someone else might say something negative about you. What do you tell yourself to move on from that and not get stuck? So recently, I've been thinking about a lot about even in my business or starting my businesses, there were, I was around a lot of people who didn't necessarily own their own businesses or who weren't even thinking about owning their own businesses. And I had to encourage myself a lot. And of course, there were some people who were my cheerleaders. Obviously, there was my husband, my mother, but even some of my siblings, some of my cousins, some of my friends didn't understand the vision that I had. And so there were a lot of times when I had to just wake up and it was just me and God. God and I had a whole bunch of pillow talk. And I was like, when I wake up, it's me opening my eyes, seeing what God has for me. So a lot of times I just had to tell myself that I could encourage myself through the word. Like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do this. I'm worth it. What I'm planning is bigger than me, things like that. So, we want to talk about tonight how you encourage yourself, who you use to encourage yourself, and how you don't put on everything that everyone puts on you. There's a motivational speaker, her name is Lisa Nichols, and she talks a lot about what other people think of you ain't none of your business, right?
Mm.
So, listening to her a lot encourages me. But in those moments, I don't know her personally. I know me. I know what I'm capable of. And sometimes I don't know what I'm capable of. And I just have to keep encouraging myself until I do the things that um, help me to reach those goals or those milestones. But lately, I've been thinking about the state of the world and how everything that I heard when I was little is starting to come to fruition as far as Bible prophecies and things like that. And sometimes that can be um, a little bit scary. And if I didn't know how to pray, I think I'd be in a really bad state. If I didn't know how to encourage myself, I think that I would be in a really bad state because um, in the middle of the night when all you think about are the fears of the world or the fears that the devil tries to put on you, you can't call somebody always, wake them up to be like, oh, tell me it's going to be okay. Tell me everything's going to be all right. You can't always do that. So, the things that I've been telling myself is a scripture. Again, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And so I have to, shoo the devil away to be like, if I'm fearful, it's not of God.
Mm.
I don't have a sound mind, it's not of God. Right? So I'm like, even to pray sometimes takes a little bit of encouragement, or even to read the scriptures for me takes a little bit of encouragement. And I have to tell myself, if I want to be better than I am, then I have to put my faith in someone that's bigger than me, someone that's better than me. But I have to tell myself those things so that I can get up and get out of my comfort zone to encourage myself. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to bring it all together like that. And we'll have more discussions. But right now I'm gonna pass it on to Leslie. I know Leslie had a huge, huge event just recently, and thank God I was able to be a part of that. But I know that Leslie, you had some talking that you had to do it to yourself because this was someone being able to invite you out of state, out of your comfort zone, away from family. I want to know from you, how were you able to talk yourself and encourage yourself to do even that? What did you tell yourself to bring you there, to give you the confidence to speak in front of other people about something that you brought to fruition?
Mhm. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that I love that every time we get on here to record or we come together as a group, us aunties, we make no qualms about recognizing God, who is what ties us together. That's just, I have to say that because it's so important as women of faith. When I think about the event that you was, gracious enough to come with me to enjoy that experience with me. Um, thank you for being there with me because had you not been there, I would have gone by myself, right? Um, and like you said, when you became a business owner, some people were your cheerleaders, some people were naysayers. And in the moment and in the midst of it all, it's really hard to decipher the two because unfortunately, people, in my opinion, have a tendency of walking sheep's and what is it, sheep's and wolves clothing, or like
Sheep's clothing.
wolves in sheep's clothing. Yeah, it's like they act like they're happy for you. They act like, they want you to do better and stuff, but really underneath they don't. So I really appreciate you for being there with me and genuinely being happy for me and just experiencing that with me. But what got me there, I would have to go back to the beginning when I really decided, you know what? I'm going to take pieces of my life, my, real life experiences, and I'm going to put them on paper. And I'm going to begin writing this book. Didn't know in the beginning how much I would share, to what depth I would go to, but I remember my friend, someone that you met now, Mary Manning, telling me, Leslie, just write and write from your heart, write with an open heart. And that's what I did. And unbeknownst to me, then looking back in hindsight, did I know that I would have this amazing woman, my publisher, who not only when she got my manuscript, which wasn't typically, it didn't look like what, everyday manuscripts look like because of my situation, right? But when she got it and she began reading it, um, that's her and her input and her support and her patience and her heart and her belief in me and this little project, as I call it, like this little book that I wrote. But you even told me before, like, stop saying that, stop minimizing your work.
Sorry about that. When people, say, "Oh, she got this little job or she got this
Right.
little thing," and we internalize that, and that becomes
hmm
our self-talk, this
hmm
little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the midst of it, it was the COVID pandemic. It was a lot going on. It was a heavy, heavy cloud of oppression that was weighing down not only myself but all the women around me in the situation I was in that I spoke of briefly in the beginning as we introduced ourselves. To the world through this podcast that we'll get into later. But I had to self talk. I had to tell myself, um, you just right. You got this. Like if God laid it on you and put this thing in front of you, you can do it. just right. And so that's what I began doing. And I know that in the past you've spoken about um editing yourself. Like as you write, basically stepping on your writing. Because if you're not free writing and really telling what's truly in your heart, you're stepping on what is to be told. And so that is one thing that I told myself. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my truth. This is what I lived, and I'm not going to think about or take, into account who it might hurt, who might be offended. Um, this is what I'm here to do. So, um, and that was something that brought about something really wonderful and amazing because I had to wait a long time, almost a whole year, to be present at that event, to actually have the opportunity to really come to the place where everything that you and I both experienced together happened. Like it was a waiting game, patience. And so that's a good thing. But I wanna flip it and acknowledge sometimes when you have to self-talk and tell yourself that all is well. Everything is gonna be okay. Even when it don't look like it's okay. You know, you
Right.
know that I just recently went through a situation where I was taken advantage of and I came up on the short end of the stick, and I won't get into the details. However, what I will say is I definitely had to self-talk and tell myself, um, all is well. Like God is good. He has been good to you. And even with this tremendous loss, look around, count your blessings. It's gonna be okay. It was a learning lesson, but that self-talk, you know, it's a place you have to come to and decide for yourself. Like you said, what are you gonna believe? Like the old church folks say, what you gonna believe? The report of the Lord, or you gonna believe what man say? You know what I mean? God
Right.
says, I'm
Right.
healed by his stripes. So I had to really just really encourage myself and keep pushing and say, you know what? It's water under the bridge. I'm going to just know that moving forward next time, I know the signs, I know what to look for, and I am not going to be victimized again in that way. Um, I also want to bring up um an important time in my life when I was working towards my degree because sometimes you have people in your life who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And
Yeah.
they bring you up to
Yes.
that place where, they're like, why, like, it's like, why not you? Why do you feel like you can't do this? Why do you feel inadequate? Why do you feel like this is an insurmountable task put before you? When I was working towards my degree, I was just like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I'm smart enough for this. It's that oppressive thinking, it's that socioeconomic status where you grow up and you are taught to believe that you can't have what your counterparts can have because we dare to believe or dream bigger than what we are surrounded by. And I know now because I'm a living witness and I'm a living testimony that that is a lie from the pit of hell. And so while I was working towards my degree, while I was taking all these different disciplines and thriving in classrooms where with professors that had masters and this is their what, like I felt like yes, I do belong, but I had to self-talk for a while to come to that point. And so if I could do anything, I could just say and encourage men and women alike, little boys and little girls, that sometimes you have to talk to yourself. You have to encourage yourself. And before you actually will be able to turn your head and look back and say, you know what, I did that. I did that too. And you know, and that's where I'm at with it. So I'm striving for more every day. Um, and I'm gonna continue talking myself up. Even if I don't think inside I can do it, I'm gonna keep telling myself, you got this. You can do it. Yeah. So I'm gonna pass it to Miss Helen J. Collier with that, and let's hear what she has to say on the topic.
Hello, I am glad to be here with you this evening. I had a 15-day cruise trip to Hawaii, and therefore, and it was a long floating journey. As you know, I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois, one of the blackest cities in the country.
Mm.
That was my foundation and my grounding. When I said self-talk, I think I learned it so early in life. I think I might have been about maybe 8 years, 7 or 8 years old. And my oldest brother had an old rusty bike, and he was no longer using it. And a friend of mine, he said, "Let me ride the bike first." I said, "No, I mean, I'm thinking I'm gonna ride it first." Rode it down the road, and it was so rusty and old that the front wheel just fell apart, and I fell flat on my face, and my tooth just popped out. Now I was already a little sweet, pretty little girl with a little gap in my mouth. And then I would imagine I wouldn't talk. My hand was always over my mouth, and I didn't realize when God has a purpose for you early on, you may not know it. And the boys no longer, gave me any attention, which I thought was revolting. I was just so hurt. But my friends who got all the attention, their lives, many of them went wayward, while I just had to focus on my books. And then I began to write all the time, and I still had that feeling of not being of what I wanted to be, until I truly allowed my life to be flowed along with God's word, as my mother, who was a devout Christian woman, and she kept us in church 3 days a week. So we live out of it. She says, beauty comes from within.
Mm.
And until you find your inward beauty, there is nothing outside that's going to be beautiful about you. And listening to her, I began to, as you see, I'm a storyteller writer. I began to write for my friends, for myself, write stories that enhanced uh, my characters, to make them go through some things that they had to learn, that it's not always in the outer beauty. It's not always in what you think or know, what people say. It's what you put in your heart and believe for yourself, and strive for that goal. I wanted to write the best stories, and when my friends started coming over and begging for I felt real good about that. So that took some of the pressure off of me. But I always had that voice in my head that says, it's not the outer beauty, it's not what you think. It is that inward divine beauty within that will take you where you need to be. And so I managed, since I had not all that interruptions, to graduate, get my degree in human services and law and enforcement. And I began to work with children that was at risk, and help them in their survival and things that they couldn't they were facing, and they didn't know how to get through them. And I used my mother's word as that inner beauty, and that thought that God always provides a way, and putting you in a place that where you need to be, not where you want to be, where you
Mm.
need to be. And so I ended up as a juvenile correction officer, no, detention officer for Seattle because I relocated after I really got into serious writing. I relocated to Seattle, and I, took on various jobs, and I really didn't get into my profession until I was working on at Pioneer Center, and this young guy said, "Helen, let's just will you fill out this application for and so we're gonna work at Juby, for just 6 months for extra money." And we had just got to be friends because, as I told you, I was from East St. Louis, and he was a white guy, and we had to work on getting our relationship where we liked each other. And he was okay, and I was okay, and we were okay with each other. And he said, "Come on, come on, come on, just fill it out." I'm gonna tell you today, they are absolutely right, and I know from my own personal experience with the divine savior and with my mother's inward teaching, there are some things that happen for you if you just sit back and allow your interest conscious, that sixth sense, to persuade you in an area where you feel uncomfortable, where you said you have your doubts. I went on to fill the application out and thinking, sure, this is never going to help me out. And I'm going to tell you, when I said I didn't think so, no, I didn't think so. All of a sudden, my sister-in-law passed. We had to come back to East St. Louis, and we got back. And on a Sunday morning, I'm gonna tell you how strange it was, because on a Sunday morning, I get this call from the supervisor there, and she says, "Oh, we hear you're interested in working for for Juvie, on call. This is Sunday. So my breakfast, this is a gift." I said, "Oh, yes, I sure am."
Mm.
When do you want me to come in? Now I'm still thinking this is just a joke. So gave me the date, time. I went in and I started working for the Juvenile Detention Center on call. And I'm gonna tell you, when God puts you in a place, you better be ready for it. Because
Mm.
it means for you to work. I mean, it's yeah. And so but most of my years I worked with boys, which was much easier than working with girls. Because when I worked with the girls, when I worked in the juvenile centers, and I watched my co-workers who work with girls, they called hell. I'm gonna tell you like it is.
Mhm.
So I had friends who female officers who say, "Helen, we're not working for those girls. We're just gonna work with the boys because they're much, much, much." Even though sometimes they confronted you, but but I always had this thought because of my upbringing, and we were always taught for our adults to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, just because they were our adults. And in the church, there where we were going, you always respected your elders. And so when I started working for the youth center, I said, "Oh, Helen's, oh no, honey, you are a child. Even though you're in trouble, you are a child, and I am an adult." "Oh,
Mm.
Helen, girl, you make yourself look old." "Well, I'm older than they are.
Mm.
I am a grown person, and they're a child, and they're going to respect me as an adult because that's the only way I can lead them. If they got on the phone and they were cursing and fussing with their parents, oh no, not here. No, that's not what I put you on the phone for. You got on the phone so that you can speak respectfully to your parent, tell them what your needs are, and get off. Otherwise, hang up." Now, so once we got that straight, and they understood that I was going to be leading them as an adult and not as their friends, then we really worked much better together because they began to have a different respect for me. And I was Miss Helen, and they were their names. And so as time went on, the director, no, this I'm gonna tell it to you straight. There were no chasers. Good Lord came to me and said, "Helen, you gonna work with those girls?" I said, "Oh no, I'm not. You got me twisted."
Mhm.
No, I got something. You have had me working with these boys all this time. I'm happy with them. I can deal with them. Their little problems we can work out. But these girls, you tell I'm not wrestling on the floor with these girls. Lord, again said, Helen, you have more seniority than any of these other ladies and anybody who can. You're gonna work with the girls. So I said, well, I'm gonna give it a week. And if I don't make it in a week, I'm out of here, Lord. You give it to someone else. But isn't it funny how things work out? My sister sent me CD of Yolanda Adams and Donnie McClurkin. And I was playing it for myself, to get inspired so that I could work with them. I said, and what I would let them do, they rap and hip hop and all that. And then after they went to bed or quieted down, I would put on Yolanda Adams and I would be done with you. And they were seeing all these inspirational. And my sister said, just play it, just play it. You don't know what's going to happen, just play it. And one, I was getting ready to go home. And the bell rang from the post. They tell me one of the girls wanted to talk to me. And so what does she want? Because I'm getting ready to get this work, my paperwork done. I'm getting out of here. I went down to her. She said, Miss Ellen, she said, you're not leaving just yet. Put on Yolanda Adams and Duncan. Let us listen to all of that music you've been listening to by yourself. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, if Yolanda Adams and them, you will never ever know how it's many girls they inspired, and not only that, boys too, because they would come by the unit and could hear their music, that inspirational music that had them wanting to do better. And one night, my daughter and I was driving, coming home somewhere, and all of a sudden, the we was listening to some music that she liked, and the announcer said, "Oh, I have this. Someone is calling in a request for the juvenile officer, Miss Helen." And what? And I said, "What? I believe I can fly." From
Mhm.
what and then she said, "You have made me feel that I can fly." And I just couldn't believe it. And you'll have us we would have to get our work done. Every weekend they'd have to do clean. Miss Helen, we're gonna listen to. You don't want to hear that hip hop. You don't want to. We want to hear Yolanda Adams, and we want to hear. And they all had their special songs, and all those songs were so inspirational, so spiritually inspirational, so uplifting. Nothing dark and dreary and dirty. Just and they would be working, cleaning, doing the things that they wanted to do. And all of us, and then so the director came in, he said, Miss Hal, I think I want you to form a girls group. So, but I had gotten attached to the girls at that time. And I'm gonna tell you, when you follow the lead of the Divine Savior, you're gonna have you'll lose a lot of good friends who feel that you should think in a certain way and don't realize yourself how you begin to love those girls. You begin to want them to succeed. And then when you come to work and your friends say to you, your coworkers say, this one did such and such thing, but she came and cried and said, please don't tell Miss Helen because we can't do that. They would go to school and before and anyone that worked at the time will tell you, if we come from school, they were marching quietly. All of that fighting ended because this is what I told them. Miss Helen's expectation and my ground rules for my girls. Each and every one of you is special. So they would say, in this group, your safety and well-being come first. They all had to say that. Therefore, there will be no ranking or unkind words spoken. Why? I'm asking them. Because when you are special, you shouldn't use words that are ugly. Of course, there will be no fighting. Why? Because when you are special, no one is important enough for you to put your hands on. Problems? I asked him, are dealt with using wisdom and intelligence. Why? Because beautiful flowers always follow a path that improves their lives. Only positive energy will be allowed to flow in this group. No ranking, no fighting, no negative thinking. Respect for each other is required at all times. Once the director told me I need to start a group, I named my group the Flower Group. And I am going to tell you, every morning those flowers had to get up, look in the mirror, and tell themselves that they were beautiful. And as they grew and they were fertilized and they got better, the staff would come when I come to work. They said, Miss, your flowers were really nice. That you must have fertilized them. The boys would say, Miss Helen, your girls need fertilizing to get a little. Never all those ugly names that they would call them when they passed by. This no, no B's, no W's, no nothing but your flowers, Miss Helen. They are fertilized today, or Miss Helen. We can't be flowers. Let us join them. Oh no, this is truth is. But girls, to show you boys how young girls and that they are flowers, and that not only can they now see their beauty, you also see it. My staff who would come, I'd come to work and they would tell me, Miss Helen, I love the way you're working with your flowers and how they're doing the things that they're doing. And I'm going to leave you with this.
Annie.
My girls said to me, one day we were in school. The school was out, and it was they had left some boys, and I had my class bringing them out, but the staff was gone, and the boys was acting out. And I said, "Oh no, you got to get yourself straightened out." And they grouped together and said, "Uh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?" And I said, "You better sit down." And the girl said, "You sure better, because I know you're not finna hit Miss Helen." they, they they were so shocked, and I was so shocked. And the staff came right on out. But love is a many splendid thing, and it is when the divine spirit gives you something to do, do it. Even when you think you can't do it, even though you think you can't win, do it anyway, because there's a pattern, there's a plan that you can't see. And that plan is for you to follow, not veer from because the other people around you saying, "Oh, well, you need to do it this way." If you take for sure and let the divine spirit give you that way to go, nothing, nothing. It will always turn out the best. It may not turn out exactly like you wanted to, but for the best. My tooth wasn't what I wanted, but it was for the best. That job was what I really wanted, and I loved with the boys. But when I got with those girls and saw myself in them and saw how they were loving, just having someone care enough about them to fight for, and I would fight for. So
I want to
I
ask
don't
you, Miss
know.
Helen, with all that, you working with the flower group and working with the boys and the girls, were you able to teach them self-talk? That is our, sorry, I don't even think I introduced our, we are straight no chaser. So I don't know in my introduction if I introduced, so sorry to cut you off there, Miss Helen,
No,
but
no, go
we
ahead,
are
go
straight
ahead.
no chaser. We're gonna give it to y'all straight no chaser. But Miss Helen, you talked a lot and about your experience working with the flower group and working for the juvenile system. But in that, I didn't hear a lot about you talking about self-talk and how you
Well,
talk in self-talk. Was that
well,
uh,
that was it. All
where
of it was self-talk, sweetheart. I had to talk myself into believing that I could help those girls. I had to talk myself into believing that I would even want to go to the juvenile system. These are things that I ran from, didn't told myself, oh, that's not for you. Oh, girl, you can't do this.
Mm.
But what I want to you and Leslie put it out there right before, even before I got there was someone, even though I was doing all the talking, that was speaking through me, that was moving through me, having me do those things that I self-talked myself into believing I could never do, that I was safe with those boys. And those girls fought out, no, why are you gonna get knocked on the ground? Never, not once. Not none of the things that I thought. See, that's another thing about self-talk. If you can do the things that you self-talk yourself into thinking you can't do, they become the very thing that you can do. And that is what I want to let you know, and what I want you to hear from me too, because we are a group who's straight and no chaser, but we are uplifting.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
want you to let it be known to yourself that self-talk yourself into doing things that you think that you know is best for you, but you think you can't do it. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. I was, go ahead, Leslie.
I just want to say, after all of that and like you know, your question, and I know that Miss Helen has spoken about these girls and the flower group several times, and it just dropped in my spirit. Like, I hope today that however old these girls are, like when you entered their life, Miss Helen, I'm sure they were young. They were probably 12 to 13, 14. They could have even been younger than that. But my hope today is that whoever they are, they know who they are. Whether or not they tap into this podcast or not, my hope and prayer is that whatever it is that you poured into their lives, that today they are stronger women. And even the young men who wanted to be flowers but couldn't be flowers, but they experienced you. I hope that they have learned, by way of that experience, to speak to themselves, to speak life into themselves, and to encourage themselves, to talk to themselves when they feel like they've come up against, you know, situations or people or circumstances that um look like it's too much, or you know, they can't do something because it's just, you know, too much. But they could draw back from the time that they spent with Miss Helen J. Collier and say, you know what, hold on, wait a minute, I'm a flower, you know, or I was a witness to the flowers. And I am going to encourage myself. I'm going to talk myself up until I am able to look back over my shoulder and say, you know what? I knew I could do that. I knew I could get through that.
Let
I
me
Right.
knew that I had enough in me. And even if I didn't know it at the time, I now know it because I'm looking back over my shoulder and I see that I got through it, you know? And so that's what dropped on me when you was talking. And so
well let me share this with you. This I was at work one day and one little girl came in she's about 13, 14 years old, and she came back and forth, and so she said, I said, what are you doing back in here, girl? She said, well, she said, I was doing okay on the street. She said, and one day she said, this girl, she said, we were getting ready to fight.
mm,
I mean, and one of my other girls was with her, and she said, we were getting ready, I was going to kick her. You know, she was ready to. And she said, but I looked over at Felicia. She said to me, what would Miss Helen do?
mm,
She said, it took all the wind out of me. She said, Miss Helen, I had to just go home
yeah.
and
Yeah,
do,
that's a huge impact, right?
Mhm. I was,
When you say something or you're teaching kids, anybody really, and they do something the right thing because of something you encourage them to
Mhm.
do, but now they know how to encourage themselves too with that,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, in that situation, they used you for or she used you for her self-talk, right?
Yes, and
She had
her
to be
friend who was with her,
outside of herself.
yeah, the friend who was with her who said to her, "What would Miss Helen do if she was here?" And when she said that, they both thought of what I would do, what they
Mm,
felt. You see, not maybe what they felt I would do, and they felt that I would not engage in that type of behavior, that I would walk away from it and leave it. And I I was learning my self-talk to to what I was saying to myself. Later on, it helped me do other things that was absolutely way out of my realm,
mm,
because God put it into my heart that these girls were my teachers. They
mm,
literally were my teachers. And I really didn't realize that we were teaching each other. Whatever I was giving them, they were giving me. Whenever they had a problem, they could come to me and I would talk to them. I talk to them about it. And if I thought that they were right and they were being mistreated, I would go and fight for them. And so it changed me into seeing them. No, they're not criminals. No, they may have committed a crime, but they're little children. They weren't born stealing. They weren't born doing whatever you got them in here for. They need somebody to give them a different sense of direction. And when I retired, I have so many letters. Oh,
mm.
many letters from them. And the staff said, after I was gone, but they said, "Oh, Miss Helen was doing pretty good with those girls. We need her here now." But
Yeah.
you do what you can do,
In your
and you let
season.
God touch your heart, and let God do the rest.
Yeah.
So yes, self-talk is absolutely important, but I gotta be willing to hear that voice.
Mm.
And whose voice is that? Huh?
The voice of the Spirit of God.
Something that's telling you that you can have
But
$1 trillion, but if
doesn't-
you don't have that sense of understanding the true nature of life,
yeah,
Mm,
because
you
you
have
can't just
nothing.
talk to yourself within yourself. That's only going to take you so far.
hmm
So you've got to listen to the
Yes.
voice of God. Spirit has to lead you.
Yeah.
'Cause you can tell yourself every day, I'm gonna do these 15 push-ups, and without works, you're gonna
That's
just be
right,
sitting right
right.
there
If
on
you
the
don't take
couch,
that first step, you'll never walk.
right? But it's got to be something else pushing you too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, you wake up with you, like I said, I wake up with me, but God wakes me up,
Right.
you know, and so I could not be here. And I
Mm,
could be telling myself a whole lot of things. So, the suicide rate is very high because people stop believing in themselves. They stop believing in God. They stop letting the Spirit lead them. And they're being, led by whatever, that leads them down a dark path. Every year, usually New Year's Eve, for the kids that I was working with, we would do it like earlier in December, and we would it sometime would carry over to January where we would do dream boards. And on the dream board, like I would print out a bunch of affirmations and then I
Mhm.
would let them make up some of their own. And the one rule is that they had to have at least three affirmations on their dream boards. And I still have that practice now with my granddaughter having some issues in kindergarten, y'all. And I just went, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I just went and printed out 100 affirmations, right,
yeah.
for her to choose from so that she could put on her wall. Because if you're not telling yourself something
Mm.
good, feeding yourself something,
Yes.
and having a point, you know, then you can, anything that blows in the wind that comes by, you could grasp
You'll
on
pick it.
that,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Yes.
When I taught at a school in Seattle, one of the teachers, she's passed on now, but she was like a resource teacher. and she
Mhm.
had this affirmation for the kids would have to say it every day before they started their work. Um, and it was, I am smart, I am capable, I am lovable, and I am the master of my destiny.
Mm,
Every Now, one thing I might have changed if it was like, aloud, right? God is the master of my destiny.
right.
But every day the kids said that. And I wonder to this day how many students still say that because I remember that so clearly when Miss Minnie used to say that every day. They would come in before they would try to do anything. I am smart, I am capable, I am lovable, I am the master of my destiny, you know?
That
That's
reminds me of this paragraph that if you read it, I'm sure maybe Miss Helen, you familiar, Lynn, you might be familiar, but it's a paragraph, and if you read it top to bottom, it says one thing, but if you read it bottom to top, it says the complete opposite. And basically, it's like, you know, yeah. You don't have to look at every day like it's the worst day. Every day, your life is what you make it. You can pull something positive out of it. And I just really like that, and I like to really remind myself when I'm feeling a certain type of way. Like I was talking to you today, Lynn, about my job. My job is very Lord have mercy. You know what I'm saying? Very physically demanding. And at 53 years old, like I'm not 20 or 30 or 40 anymore doing this particular type of work. I'm 53 and it takes a little bit more, even though I'm in good health and shape. It it is a lot. And so I look forward to Friday, but by the time Friday comes and Saturday gone. Your body is like you have to
that.
listen to your body. And when your
Mhm.
body says, lay down, I need to rejuvenate. I need to rest and you know what I'm saying? Our bodies are machines too, and if we don't treat them right and put into them, what we should put into them and treat them right, then they will break down. And
That's right.
today I had to literally like sleep and rest. And I had to talk to myself in the process of it because I had all these things. Oh, I want to go see my son. I want to go do this. Oh, I'm gonna do that. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. Oh no, honey. My body said, "Nah,
That's right.
you gonna go and you gonna lay down and you gonna allow me to do what I need to do in order for me to continue doing for you what you need me to do with the week coming up. Tomorrow, Sunday, the weekend will be gone, and I have to
Right.
get back to it. So
Sometimes that's even a self-talk, right? That
yeah,
if I don't do it, the world is still gonna go round.
That's
yep,
right.
So sometimes that's a huge thing that we can talk to ourselves and say, it's okay to
right,
rest today.
right.
Like I
It
was
is
trying to tell Miss
okay.
Helen who just came back from her vacation. Like, Miss Helen, if your body needs to rest, let it rest.
Yeah, let it
And
rest.
Sometimes we
I
we
you're
want
right.
to maximize and do the most for, but that's a huge thing when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to self-talk because I know
Yeah.
for myself, sometimes I don't allow myself to rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to talk myself into taking a nap. Last week, I just really don't nap during the day, right? But last week I had to talk myself into
Mm.
go get in the bed. And I had to set a timer, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew, but I
You and
felt
that
safe
timer.
with that timer because if I didn't, my talk would have been, oh, well, just
Mm-hmm.
one more, and it's okay. I could just go ahead and do the dishes, or I could fold just one more load of clothes. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So that's huge
Yeah.
for self-talk. It becomes heavy,
Yeah.
Then you're gonna
And
have
I
Yeah.
to talk
come home
yourself
from
up.
work and I'm still working, like you said, folding clothes, cooking my own thing. I have to. Who's not? If I don't do it, who's gonna do it? But for real, and so it's like Leslie, sit down. Sometimes I have to tell myself, sit down. It is okay
Okay.
for you to come home from work
And
and have a seat on your sofa or whatnot and just take a minute.
So funny.
chill,
Yeah, chill. It's
chill.
okay. Even if I leave the clothes in the dryer, it's okay. The
Okay.
world is not going to come to an end. But I'm so meticulous and so particular about my space wherever I live. However, it's like I want things to be a certain way. I need everything. I'm not leaving no dishes in the sink. Everything got to be everything. But sometimes everything does not have to be everything.
Will not be.
Yes,
Will
that
not
one.
be, no matter what
Yeah,
you think. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But
So,
you want to do it when you are capable of telling yourself to do it, and then it
yeah,
works out than when you have to do it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And
difference.
then you gotta, it's sometimes I have to tell myself, now listen, if you fall out in the midst of trying to do this, that, and the third, then what? You're not gonna be able to do it. And then you done fell out. So
Right. And who
do
gonna
what
do
you
it for
need to
you?
do. Self-care and
Yeah.
self-talk are like at the top of the priority list of
Yeah.
living. We have to take care of ourselves and we have to
First.
talk to ourselves in a positive, healthy manner in order to get to that place where everything is balanced and you know everything's getting taken care of, but we're also taking care of ourselves. And so,
Got to.
One of
yeah.
these affirmations, it says, I am capable of balancing
Mm,
ease and effort in my life. I don't
That is
tell
awesome.
myself that I'm capable of balancing ease and effort in my life.
mm,
I felt like I was capable of that. And just
mm.
go, 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 do it,
Right.
do. And, you know, especially as women, right? We just,
Yeah.
and in the Black community, if you're not doing something all the time, then you're not doing anything. You're not,
Right.
right?
Right.
But, um, I'm doing the work that works for me.
Mm,
I like that one. I'm doing the
yeah.
work that works for me, right? I am good and getting better. I'm just reading y'all some of these.
Yeah, yeah,
You get it,
yeah.
get it better.
Like
Yeah.
the
And
100 of these things on here. I don't know who came up with these. It doesn't have like the originator of these, but one of them, letting go creates space for opportunities to come.
Mm-hmm.
I like
yeah,
that.
I like it. I like it too.
One thing I like what you said is what other people think about me or say about me is none of my business.
That
Like,
comes from Lisa Nick.
period. Because I think as people, as men and women of the world, just human beings, period, we get so caught up in and we get so down on ourselves and we can take ourselves from a real high to a super low. Uh, all based on what somebody else has to say about us, what somebody else thinks about us, how somebody else is treating us, and not even thinking once to the fact that the way people treat you probably has not a lot to do with you. Probably has more to do with who what they feel about themselves, you know, and what people think about us and say about us. That doesn't make it facts. That doesn't make it true. We
Right.
should be confident in who we are, like you started out with. God gives me a spirit of love, power, and of a sound mind. And if I'm a woman of faith in God, then I know who I am and I know whose I am. So therefore, I need to stand on business and stand on that, knowing that whatever these people are saying, and a lot of the folks out here in the world that I've been experiencing, a lot of people are it's just, you got a lot of unbelievers and not saying that you got to
Well,
believe in God, but like you said, don't just because you don't believe it, don't mean it ain't true. Right? But
that's right.
it's like we have to get stronger in the way of standing on our fundamental beliefs and what that means in our lives. And at my workplace, I deal with it every single day. And it's like, I know that as a strong Black woman, we're always going to be a force to be reckoned with, you know? People are not going to always know how to handle us, how to speak to us or interact with us because we just carry such an energy and an aura about ourselves that everybody don't know how to deal with it, don't know how to handle it. But that coupled with being a again, blood bought believer in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, it just like levels us up and we have even more power and more authority to walk in who we are. And so it brings on the enemy is going to always stay busy doing what he comes to do, steal, kill, and destroy, right? But we got to continue to talk to ourselves and remind ourselves and bring ourselves in remembrance of who we are and whose we are and what we are standing for. And
Well,
so
Going along with what you just
well,
said, this one said, I'm responsible for myself, and I start there. And the next one was, I am proof enough of who I am and what I
yeah,
believe.
yeah,
Go ahead,
well,
Miss Helen. Sorry.
I don't, me, I don't tell anyone what to believe or what not to believe. I
yeah,
show them in my actions
yeah,
what I believe and how it has worked for me. They may
mm-hmm,
have something else that works for them. That's
yeah,
all well and good. But what I do is I show and tell.
yeah,
And as show and tell, those who want to follow, who want to get on my ship, we're ready to go. But those who
yeah,
don't, I don't
yeah,
because even when you don't love the Father still loves you.
yeah,
The
that's
Spirit
right.
is so we're all one human race.
Yeah, that's
But the
right.
things that we do for or to each other will reflect our lives. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I write.
Yeah.
If your karma is absolutely to me a real thing, and
Mm.
your karma can be good or it can be bad.
Yeah.
And if you are doing the best you can, doesn't mean that life gonna always be fine, always gonna be it's because that's life.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you're gonna approach something, but you have to tell yourself, this I may approach. No, whatever way the wind blows and wherever it takes me, I will confront it.
Mhm.
That's
I
my
love that.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me
Mm.
say this. Let me say this.
Mhm.
Now, God brought Verna Lynn and brought Leslie into my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for them.
Right.
Really wasn't. I was
Yeah.
going on my way, and then there's the spirit sent a person on, and they said, "You know, you need to meet this. I just want you to." I said,
And I'm grateful.
You know what I'm saying? I just didn't even think, and my life since then has just blossomed. So many beautiful things have happened for and to me because of you ladies.
Mm.
And here we are now trying to give some of that to the rest of the
Right.
world. Oh, we
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. I love
I
that.
that's the way
belong
I see it.
here, and I deserve to take up space.
Okay.
There you go.
That's right.
That's what I really, really like for anybody, men, women, children. I'm still learning, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is so true. That is so
Miss
true.
Helen says something similar to that a lot, you know. And I tell her, "Well, I don't know. I feel this," that she be like, it's okay to feel how you feel and get back to
Yeah.
work. You know.
Right.
But shoot, tonight I had to I was talking to Miss Helen and she had to, say, we're gonna pray about this. And she prayed for me and when I was talking about, the way the world is and, feeling a certain kind of way. Because I've been, Leslie, I texted you last night.
Yeah.
I'm feeling some kind of way right now.
Right.
And I don't know how. how to deal with all the feelings that are coming out.
Hmm.
Things that I didn't think I'd be bothered by are
Mm,
bothering me. And then I had to keep going with that scripture, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind, right? And then I was reading today. So I get up and I start reading about different people in the Bible and how they, were encouraged. What does the Bible say about encouragement? And I ran across David, and it was talking about how he encouraged himself in the Lord,
mm-hmm,
right? And I was thinking, yeah, that goes right along with self-talk, you know? Lord, do you want me? Let me check in with you first,
mm,
and then let me check myself against the word, right? What
mm-hmm,
am I doing feeling like I'm running with a tail? I need
mm.
to be, the head and not the tail.
Right.
Not worry about all the things that. So this one I think goes along with that too. It says, I breathe in healing. I exhale the painful things that burden my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. I
I
might put
like.
that, I might put
Thank
that one
you.
on my
I
mirror.
like that one. Really, I like that one.
Yeah.
Exhale that if it's something that somebody's going to bring to you that they know is going to be something hurtful for to you, it's how they bring it to you and what you feel
Mm-hmm.
about how they bring it to you because you should shun the very appearance of evil and shun if something is going to when if I'm working on a book, I very seldom allow outsiders to read it unless it's a person I feel who understands my what my aim is, and if I need to make some adjustment, they're gonna tell me in such a way not to destroy my
The integrity of your work.
That's right. If they're gonna do that, then my person. If I know someone and they got so and so said this about you, so well, you know what? If that person said that about me and you believe them, that's their business. It has nothing to do with me.
One of
I
my
know who I
mentors,
am.
one of my
And that, what
mentors
you say?
always says, if you buy people's beliefs, then you'll be willing to buy their lifestyle.
Mm. That's
Mhm.
heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, you
They
know,
already they've already sold it to you.
Mm.
This is
yeah,
the way it should be. Yes. So you have to say, I'm not bothered by that. And whatever it is that needs to come out, let it come on out because God has me. That's all I know. And
yeah,
as long as I got that, as long as I have a divine spiritual voice that his lets me know my direction. That's the direction I'm going to take. And I'm going to allow every person in the world to take their direction that they
Mm.
want to take, hopeful that it leads them where they want to be. But so far, all I know is I sure have been led some blessed ways. And I
Yeah.
have definitely thanked the
yeah,
divine spirit for every day of my life.
yeah, yeah. I'm grateful for you and your self-talk. Because without that, I wouldn't know Miss Helen J. Collier, because you wouldn't be the phenomenal writer that you are if you just gave up listening to somebody else's opinion or someone else's doubts, right? You didn't
Yeah,
buy into their doubts. You believed in yourself. You
I had
believed
to.
you were enough to put these projects out there, right? Same thing with
Right.
you, Leslie. If coming from where you were,
Yeah.
if you had all the voices in your head that said, "Oh, don't do this and don't
You
do that."
can't, you
Yeah.
can't, you can't.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's why it's taken me so long to write this last book because I'm like, oh, I don't want to offend this group or that group. If I write this, ooh, they don't. And Miss Helen J. Collier said, "Girl, you better write that book and be authentic as you
Yeah.
can."
That's right. If it's
All
not
right,
authentic, they're not gonna
Miss
believe it
Helen has
anyway.
spoken.
You got
But
to
I,
write it
I
right.
I really appreciate you for that because I think the self-talk that I had in my head was I don't want to offend too many people, and I don't know how to write this story without being offensive to somebody,
Mm.
right?
And
And they tell us that they're gonna be offended
well,
anyway.
no. What you don't realize is that I had that when I wrote the two worlds, Miss Allen and the Cheers from the Healing Tree. There's a part in there that I talk about Jesus Christ as far, and it was a real negative. And I said, "Oh my, the believers are not going to, oh, they're not going to like me for saying this about Jesus Christ." They didn't even notice it. They know me. They know how I write, and once they get to it wasn't even nobody even mentioned it, and I was so fearful. But it that what you have to realize, if you tell the truth and it's authentic, Lynn, that's what they're gonna resonate to. That's what they're gonna move to. That's what they're gonna to want to hear. That's what they're gonna, because they already, there's nothing new under the sun. They already know. They just gonna know, well, are you willing to tell it like it is? They already know.
Straight no chaser, right?
Straight no chaser.
Well, we're gonna end this podcast. I think we've given from our plates, right? The aunties, straight no chaser. We've had
Straight
a
no
great
chaser.
conversation. Um, I just want to encourage everybody that, speak to yourself positively.
Mm,
Make more positive assessments of yourself than you do negative. Don't buy everybody's opinion of you.
mm,
Obviously, you need mentors in whatever you're going to do, whether it's business, whether it's, uh, whether you're in the church, out of church, in season or
forever.
out.
Yeah.
You're going to need more positive than negative. And so, and even try to turn your negatives into a positive. Go to the
True.
library or wherever, or sit on your bed and start writing good affirmations for yourself, something that you can say daily, something that you can look at, put them all over your house if you need to. But listen to Lisa Nichols because I love
Mm,
her. Uh, you know, or whoever you can get encouragement from so that you're living your best life, living a
that
good
you
life,
true.
and not doing negative self-talk. You guys have anything else to add before we end this
Well,
week?
the only thing that I would want to say is that you're so right. The girls that everybody thought were fighters, were mean, were just awful. Once they found someone who saw the good in them, once they began to be taught that there was good in them, that their act was not them, it was just an action by them, and that action could change. And so you give the world the best. And if you, especially when you're dealing with young minds, they just need someone to feel that they can accomplish, to feel good about them, to give them good affirmations like Lynn has given to her children, like Leslie talks about. If you can have good affirmation, if you can tell them something, get up in the morning and tell yourself you're beautiful. Don't wait for someone else to tell you you're beautiful. Know that you're beautiful for yourself. And they will see that, and they will uh, gravitate towards that. We're here to make life better. And it's always better if you look better and you see better in that, instead of looking for the worst or
mm,
having someone control your life in the way they want it to go, and it doesn't work for you.
mm. I would just say, like, to double down on what you just said at the end of your statement, Miss Helen, is that you do better when you know better, right?
Right.
And I want to just say that in terms of self-talk, um, you know, it's important, and it's an action. It is, action is to move, to be active, to to actively move forward or towards something. And for us, whether it is mental, emotional, physical, And whether we are thinking it or we are speaking it, it
Hmm.
is the action of moving forward. And so, in the spirit of self-talk, I would just like to encourage all human beings, none left, uh, you know, out, to speak life over yourself, to speak goodness into your life. And if you're in a situation, I think we spoke a little bit on this before. If you're in a situation and you find that it is not serving you well, then you might need to do some self-talk in order to see the action take place in your life to move forward and away from, or move forward towards something that is going to serve you better and put you in a better position. So, that is what I would like to encourage all the people who are listening to us, who support us, who have taken out their time to just tune in. It is really, really important what we tell ourselves, and it can really determine the trajectory of our lives. So, with that being said, I just give it back over to Lynn Reese, and it was great being here this evening, and hopefully somebody somewhere has been able to glean something where it will push them into the right direction.
Thank you. I think
Thank
so.
you both for taking your time. I know we went a little bit long tonight, but um, I think that everything that was said was necessary to say.
Mhm.
I appreciate you both. I hope that you both take good care of yourselves, keep feeding into yourself. And then this last one I'll say, and we'll end it. I do not pretend to be anyone or anything other than who I am.
Mhm.
And with that, we're going to end. I love you both.
Love you too.
Big hug.
Love you too.
Mwah.
Y'all have a good night.
All right. Same to you now. So